cards a day keeps the trolls away.
You're gonna need so many Google Play cards. What are you doing?
I hear me from somewhere. Oh.
Maybe your TV?
Is that playing on Twitch too?
Yes.
How is that? Did Odyssey control what's going on Twitch?
No, I started
Oh, you took our things off?
our thumbnails.
Yeah. Why come?
I
Remember there was one place that was like you gotta do a 2-minute fucking video, and also you can't be critical of one type of fucking. What a way to control one of those fucking ghost machines. And that ghost machine covers politics, culture, fucking religion. And it has the history, and it has control of a lot of different areas of the world. They define that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta get some things up.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da,
We're
da,
doing it
da.
on the YouTubes, on the Twitches.
How do you get to Odyssey?
Can you open up the tweeters? You could just click the links and
Okay.
go right to them.
Not if they ask me stupid questions.
Oh.
You gotta sign up for Twitter to look at Twitter. Can we just look at the computer or something?
Yeah.
They are making my computer obsolete.
Yeah, baby.
Put it on the laptop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just looking at things.
Maybe we can make it so we could do like a quick thing, on my computer. So it just boop, boop, boop. Because I don't have the keyboard attached and everything is...
Yeah, well... We'll have to do some adjusting.
Should we watch the Super Bowl while we live stream?
Oh, yeah.
When does that happen? That's stupid nonsense. Do you think people know the date like Christmas these days?
Do they know the date like Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, like the Super Bowl date?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I don't even know the month. Don't fucking tell me.
Alright, baby.
I don't want that space taken in my mind. Because that space, that the Super Bowl, that McDonald's, that Twitter, that's fucking mom, fucking this person, that person, this company. The more space they take up, the less space I got for myself. And that's fucking dementia.
That's dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce Willis, is he filled with?
Yes. He ain't got nothing good to remember. I bet you, if I spent time with him, unless he was acting like a bitch, which is measurable, a lot of old people, they start acting like bitches because that's the only way they know how to exert any control on their surroundings. When you're done with that, we gotta talk about child marriage again.
Child marriage?
And whether or not that Vaughn guy should be able to fuck horses. What are you looking at?
I was hoping I could get...
A pop-out chat?
Yeah, and it's not
Ooh,
looking
Odyssey,
like
slacking. You gotta prove yourself to fucking robots that you're not a robot. How disgusting is that? You know, it's like
Yeah.
a pot calling the kettle queer.
It does feel gross. Like having to prove.
It's abuse because they're too stupid to figure out. If you see them doing things because they impede on your life that much, that means they're trying to fight something. Gotta call in telethon to fucking donate to this thing. Keep pumping that fucking energy into something that stays in your mind. Well, prove to me you're not a robot every time you fucking sign on to something. Oh, that's how they've been fighting. Look at what we're doing to you. That's our proof. That's how you know that we're on that fucking robot problem on our websites. Imagine if there are thousands of robots and those people who get like 30,000 or whatever, they get like, they go into like, how many digits is it? Like a 5-digit, 4-digit. Fourth digit is 1,000 and 5 digits is like 14,000, right? 25,000.
Yeah.
So if they moved a digit down because of the robot problem,
Yeah.
what would that... And like every single person who has... How many people are fucking on Twitch at all times? That seems ridiculous to me. But...
Okimashoki.
Is it good PR? It's people that you control. It's kind of like how detectives, cops, who are those fucking people? They have like inside, like this FBI investigative people
Yeah.
with guns. They got people on the inside who get to do the thing that they want to do, but they have to be the informant. On Twitch, like I'm thinking of like a fucking Nerdrotic or whatever, just as a easy example, because Mud Disney bad, but also YouTube and them Mud Disney good because they're potential advertising partners. Your hat kind of makes you look like Goofy right now. He's got the black. He's got black skin. And he's got like the white face and things that dangle. And you got a hat that's dangling a little bit like a an ear.
Like fucking Goofy.
Just, you remind me of Goofy, but you don't look... And he had a hat like that, too, I think. It was like a green cap that kind of, like, fell in such a way. Like Bedhead, but with hats. But with a dog's head.
But with a dog's head.
Well, my fucking Disney. So, if he gets, like, 2,000 people looking at him at any single time when he's doing his riots against Disney... The people who have the sponsors or who don't bother with that at all, just let them keep their big numbers. So it's like, oh, you think this guy's great, but these are the people who are getting watched. So you divert people's attention from the anti-Disney establishment.
Misdirection.
Yeah. All the tricks. But now I forgot why we were talking about,
Why we were talking about child marriage.
Yeah, well, I remember why, but I think we were deciding things, right?
Yes.
That... We were watching The Simpsons.
Uh-huh.
And Bart wanted to get married to save his cow. If he married the girl, the cow could live on her farm.
Yeah.
Marge comes in and is like, no, you... And this is painfully unrealistic because people don't go through those extra like, I found a cat once and my mom wouldn't even let me keep it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I spaced, like, I don't have a recollection because it was too painful, part of dementia. it's too painful to remember what happened to that cat. I don't know if I had a friend who got it. I remember sitting in the driveway for like hours trying to figure out what to do about this cat and not going inside and stupid things. And I also, okay, I wasn't that responsible because I was a fucking child. I'm your kid, so it's your fucking fault. If you teach a child, if you guide them in the right direction, they're gonna want to do things. I remember wanting to do things, and my mom, for fucking years, would say, every time you asked me to help, I should have done it because now you don't want to help me ever. And I'm like, duh, you know?
Yeah.
You've caused a rift in us where I hate you and I don't want myself to be anywhere near you. I'd rather have myself attached to a drug culture, into a fucking murder culture, suicide culture, fucking telling dark stories, fucking writing dark poems on the internet, talking about cutting yourself, listening to these ridiculous fucking songs that people our age and older still fucking relate to. Oh, Freak on a Leash. I still jam out to that, and that hits me in the feels. These fucking ridiculous notions of who we are.
Yeah.
We have moments where we know we are so against something. So we now have a thing to measure ourselves by. Because there are times where you definitely want to hold on to something. I really like this thing. Don't throw my stuff away. Don't tell me what I can do. Don't tell me what time I could go to sleep. Don't tell me what I can or can't eat. I'm forced to move away from children that I made friends with. My fucking parents gave my dog away. All these fucking powerful emotions that people have detached themselves from. And if you don't have the things which you're meant to measure life by, and you're just like, gee, I can't believe I was like this at 10 years old, then you're gone. That's fucking Bruce Willis. He played a role and now he doesn't know what the fuck he is. Because, and what the last thing he did, I mean, it is make more movies. He didn't remove himself from movies and start doing other shit. I think he had like a Planet Hollywood thing one time and that was okay, or did it fail? I don't know. We would have to look it up.
He did Planet Hollywood?
Either way, I guess, whichever way that would go, he decided that he would make a bunch of money doing some dumb shit, but doing the same shit. He was gonna do acting that he barely had to do anything, and he just had to show up and make a bunch of money, and those movies weren't gonna make any money, and there was something fucking fishy about it, but he didn't care. He didn't care about any of it, and Jay and Silent Bob over at fucking Red Letter was like, oh, I could respect that fucking decision or something, or, hey, if you could do that, oh, you want to end up in a fucking wheelchair at fucking 67 too? However fucking old he is... I bet you he just doesn't know himself enough to be able to express, I'm thinking, therefore I am, where's my fucking center? Everything he is in everybody else. And he's like, well, who am I? My divorces? My children that are... Am I Die Hard McGrady? Whatever his fucking name was? I bet he loves reminiscing, though. He could fucking tell a story about some time on the set or some time he got his dick sucked.
Probably. Those stories guys hang on to.
Yeah. The powerful ones that lead those moments of pleasure and those moments of pain, you're reduced to just reliving it. Instead of knowing and growing from it, you're reduced to just reliving it. Reliving it or reliving the moments where you would talk about it. Because those are the things in human that are meant to matter so that we move forward in a better way that religion, culture, and politics fucking denies. It wants to take the place of. And it's always been a way to control. It's not that people... It's that people had this hole and powerful people knew how to fill it. It's not like people agreed with it. It's not like people didn't know what to look for. People still don't know what to look for. And that is fucking autism. And when you find it and it makes you fucking anxious, that's fucking depression. Or when it splits you into multiple philosophies, quote unquote, that's fucking bipolar disorder or multiple personality disorder. It's all the same fucking thing. I don't know how I got here. Like I'm Hitler at a podium or something. Oh. Which one is that, Twitch? Sorry for bothering you. I want to offer you a promotion of your channel. No, you're not sorry. Prove to me you're sorry. Oh, you can't because you're just an algorithm or something? Or a person that's paid 5 cents an hour to go copy paste shit because it's an easy job? Bruce Willis. It's the Bruce Willis effect. When you take an easy job and there are consequences that go against the measurements that you have to be taking with your emotions all throughout your life. By way of sharing your emotions. When you keep your emotions inside, oh, it's a bad thing because I disagree with those. You have to control, blah, blah, blah. But we should be able to communicate anything. And I think you and me have proved that we have to communicate.
Yeah.
At least I have to. And I think we've learned that that a male's communication is stronger. Yours affects me in a strong way. The motorcycle people who are fucking loud all the time but want you to fucking look twice, like you gotta make it a law, like you should learn that in fucking driving school to make a special look for you specifically. Men are very good at exerting pressure, which causes a gunk in the system with chicks, because then we split off into all those places of like being told what our emotions should be. And being nice to the gays and being nice to the motorcycle people, it's the same fucking thing in my mind, and it was the same shit in South Park. But to a chick who is just being bombarded with emotions, those are two different places to split yourself into. That's unreasonable. Or we were talking about child marriage, though. Or were we? We were talking about The Simpsons. Oh, this is why all of this stuff maybe is like impossible, because nobody understands whatever. I forgot. But Marge was like, you're a kid. You shouldn't have to marry. And it's like, well, what standards of marriage are you looking for with these kids? Is it, and you can see the duality, which they didn't really address at the end. It's just, haha, Simpson side wins. Because there's the suburban place and there's the hickory place. One is doing a 4-H club so that they can learn to farm for a big farm. And then there's the poorer who are doing it to survive, having culture, their culture and religion and stuff around it. Having their food closer to them, having more children, having more freedom away from the restrictions that suburbia brings. Like space, you know?
Yeah.
So Marge, when she's talking about fucking Bart getting married, does she expect him... Is it better that he do the 4-H club? Or do that same stuff, but maybe at the Cletus's farm? What would they force marriage to be? Is it having sex, or maybe it's just promising to...
Learning to become family.
Learning to become family. And promising that they're going to move towards each other. It doesn't have to be sexually. It could be sharing time together. Learning how to want to spend time together. And they don't have to be married to do that. You can set up an environment where...
Yeah.
But to have something that even communicate... Because marriage is communication. Right? It's, I'm telling you that this is the person I'm bonding myself to. There could be something ceremonial, something that where people, well, I don't know because people don't really understand it yet, but where people, hypothetically, if they would learn the benefits of it, because we got holidays, we got occasions where we celebrate, and it all means fucking nothing. It all stems from nothing, not personal beliefs, something that you were born up with and it gives you fucking feels because you used to do it as a kid. That's it. It's a thing that has that part of your emotion like trauma does and times of great happiness or great turmoil. And you're attached to it emotionally more because you weren't told not to be yet. So if it's a part of you and somebody's trying to take it away, people have been taking it away for fucking, at least as long as we've been alive, as long as we've fucking seen. What is so wrong with the child? What makes it, now that you're in human world that's been decided for you, that's the right fucking course of action. Instead of finding what the child self feels. Nourishing that in people. Because it's not just wah wah. That's what an adult does. That's the rebellion of not being able to be emotionally stable and aware from childhood, which was going to happen. We had to experience all the stuff. I remember I drew a picture of it one time. I don't know if I was like, this means something. There's a center and then there's like cone things going from left or right. Kind of like a, what's that Pokemon? Magnet Boy?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Magnet. Yeah, Magnet something.
But that's kind of like the thing where we were trying to do the Descartes chart. That moving Descartes chart.
Yeah.
We can be aware of at least 3 states that the self exists in. And in one of those states, we can think about all 3 of those states.
Yeah.
We exist in the present, and we can be aware that we exist in the present. We can be aware of our past, obviously, and we can be aware of our future, obviously, if it needs fucking more description. I don't know if I got distracted. I know it means something. Who we are in those states is also a controllable thing, right?
Yeah.
There are people who control, and there are people who don't want control, and there are people who go to great lengths to not control. And there are pressures to not control in the present, where you are right now. And I feel like that's a very fragile thing, you know? When time and space somehow came together, a very fragile thing emerged from it. When somehow something mass and gravity, the things that emerged from it were in a very fragile state. They start from one and become bigger in that state. Electrons, protons, fucking single cell organisms.
Yeah.
They're under very heavy weights. There's a lot of restriction, because time and space could only be what they are. Mass gravity only be what they are. And the things that result from that only be what they are. The things that came from that, and now the balance between these big balls of energy and these things that gravitate around, circulate around big balls of energy. It's a very fragile state. And from that fragile state, these huge fucking chaotic things came along, and one created what allowed for life. Somehow all of those things have to... Is defy odds a right way to say it? Because you have to, it's not the odds of success. There's one way, one best way, one truth, and a whole bunch of fucking lies. You know? There's a whole bunch of ways things were made, but there's only one human.
They must have done something a particular way to get where
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah. When it comes to now this fragile thing that is a human being aware in the present, everything that we have been has had to be a choice. Because at some point, there were people that wanted something and directed things the way that they wanted. And there was a lot of success and failure. And success and failure can be measured by life and death. And further than that, how their legacy survives, and I guess in a bigger picture than what things that they were involved in. Like, what did Alexander do to become so great? Did he erect statues about himself very much? Was there, like, taking time in these places and having things constructed and... Or was he just collecting gold? Like, what were the motivations? Does anybody know? That's a lot of research. Because you could just look up Wikipedia, but then it's somebody's rumination of what they think would happen based on their knowledge of that time. Which, I call bullshit on all of it. Because you gotta find measurements. Just like human with the pain and the pleasure. Understanding the past by how the truth is reflected in it versus everything else people did, I think. Because Plato, knowing how what he learned to be true is still the measurement today, and taking everything else that he had to say with, like, you have gained all of my trust. I will still obviously be looking out for contradictions and whatnot, but now it's like you can read his fucking mind. You know? The more you know about someone, the more you can understand them. And it's easy if you know that you're smarter than them. If you can measure that we obviously have to be smarter than the people who existed 25 fucking hundred years ago. There's people, one of the tricks that the Illuminati or some fucking idiots play is that intelligence happened millions of years ago. The human intelligence. That there were aliens that were smart before us.
Yeah.
And somehow they intervened, so now we'll never know the pattern of how human came to be and why human came to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was thinking about the tea. It's tasty. But then it was gone. Blah, blah, blah. Drop the fucking alien bullshit out of the equation. Like, at this point, you're gonna have to just abduct me. And if it's so fucking common, you know, then... or we live in a place that's vulnerable to it, living on a farm, or... It's human error where that shit comes from, and it stops us from seeing that we can read the past by being better than it. Righting the wrongs and knowing that we right the wrongs because there's movement in a good direction that isn't fucking stupidity. Like... I don't know, technology or whatever, you know? If technology that's just the same technology configured in a different way, and you gotta lie to say how you source it, and you gotta lie to say its impact on fucking environment bullshit, and all that stuff is just...
Oh, we got somebody here. Oh. Looking around the world, and it's like looking like God, blood, soil now.
Just sanguinis?
Just sanguinis?
You're sanguinis. How do you pronounce that? Looking around the world, it's looking like it's God, blood, and soil now. What does that mean to you? What is looking like blood, God, and soil? That I'm not sure what that's an analogy to, but I would like to know. Hello, IG4865. How are you? Is this a good thing to try to speak to people?
Yeah.
Like this? I'm trying to be very clear right now. Hello. Do you want this? It's like, I wonder how those people, there's like 50,000 people or whatever, or so it says.
Yeah.
And there's all these people like looking at you. What kind of pressure does that feel like? 'Cause that's like presumably 50,000 splits.
Yeah.
At what point does it just become one big person? I guess when you just defy all of it and you're like, I'm just gonna do me. But in doing that, you're a result of that pressure relationship. You know?
Yeah.
The pressure of the universe, how it goes from really big to really small. It was a bigger thing than you. Now you're just the result of it. Like our brains, human result of all of the nature stuff.
Yeah.
We got a sensitive thing. I'm trying to get to the point. We got a sensitive thing in our minds that is understanding. That is being a person in the present. I don't know. Just anything that people feel like they are, I guess, is the...
Okay.
But understanding what you actually are.
Can you remind me again why it's a fragile thing?
Because it's the smallest but the most advanced thing in the universe. We are the smallest but most advanced. There are things that are smaller than us, but they're not the most advanced. There are things maybe that are more advanced than us, like this whole system. If you don't understand it, then it's more advanced than you, you know? But something.
Because it's the smallest and most advanced means it's fragile.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like the weakest thing, but also the most protected thing, I think. Because in all of the universe, as far as we know, there's just a lot of destructive shit and nothing. And huge things that just are meant to keep the universe in balance. You know, that's a big and nothing and everything responsibility. Like, it almost unimaginable, because we're not that. And that gravity, or that density, I guess, that hugeness of it is meant to be represented like that. You don't know, you don't need to know the personality of all the planets. Like, you could learn the personality of, like, your flock of ducks or something, or your cats, you know? But there's a safety in all of it, you know? Maybe we only have billions of years left of the sun. Not that we can rest assured that this shit has been going on for billions of years, that when we wake up, the sun isn't going to go out. That the world isn't going to just be split apart because we don't have, like, an atmosphere anymore. Or gravity suddenly isn't a factor. These are what everyone is warring about. Oh, so the god, blood, and soil is why people are going to war.
Roger. Gotcha.
Religion, right, with God.
Mm-hmm.
Soil, would that be culture or politics? I guess either way, blood and soil, it's religion, culture, and politics that people go to war about.
Land. Because land is culture.
Yeah.
We're looking at the thing about with Socrates and Glaucon building the city. The reason that they have to go start conquering in more land is because people wanted more things, lavish things that you could, do you need those silken robes or...
Because Plato lived at a time where people got along. They were starting to get along because people were probably tired of dying. I bet women were fucking wailing all the time, and that's why they still make fun of them. Just stop fucking... They established language. They established, like, the stuff that they liked inside their own place, and they could trade with other people. They were sharing words and ideas, and words were like a commodity back then. Words were a commodity in the times that Plato even references, like Homer or people even further back than that.
Yeah.
Words are like this thing that you trade, so if you can say the best thing, it carries a value in gold or whatever the main trade thing is. You could probably live a lavish life forever as a person who is in a court where you say words that the king likes or whoever likes.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot of stuff moving around. I think there's just like air coming out of me.
So Texas is really hot, but not as hot as the lit side of the moon.
Who did the Armstrongs or whatever is the what? I thought it was cold on the moon because it's further. Maybe not.
The dark side of the moon
is like super cold. But what happened with the people that went to the moon? The Armstrongs and the Kirk Douglas, whoever it was. I don't remember. I haven't heard yet because I haven't watched a lot. Of them talking about the heat. What's up at that upper atmosphere, I wonder too. Is it cold? That's an atmosphere though, and that's a different thing. But Texas can get cold too. There's a lot of places that don't have the same kind of desert.
Yeah.
What's the hottest desert here? That's probably as hot as the moon, right? There's only so much technology can withstand. And I doubt they had anything there that can withstand, an Earth thing. That can withstand... We don't have technology that can withstand hotter things than what they can withstand on Earth, right? Because that's that's the only way that they can test it, unless they send a bunch of stuff out. But I don't think we have anything that.
Yeah.
Is that really going to space then? If you can't even handle space, if you got to make a whole bunch of explosions, you already make explosions with like every freaking car.
Seems like it's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's like, people like horses. Why can't we just ride fucking horses? Because time's got to go faster. We got to use all the time.
Hi there, swag-stronomer.
Swag-stronomer. Is that a person who looks for swag? Like an astronomer? Is Astro?
Looking through a swagoscope?
I need water.
Looking at the swagstallations.
That's so aesthetic of you, husband. Texas is hot. Texas is cold too.
I've decided that I want to switch with you. I want to do
You want to do the reading?
Yeah.
So I could shut up finally? And
No.
Okay. Did you give up on your project?
For now, I saved it. I'll
Okay.
save it again.
Madonna is beautiful.
Oh.
Madonna is mother.
There you go, baby. Trade places.
How could you ever have a Christian religion be prominent again when you have such a dirty slut call herself Madonna? Words have power. I can't fit. I have to roll around, maybe. Or zoop. What do you think about secret technology? I think people are too stupid to have secret technology. I think that something that was discovered, it's maybe a little more advanced. You know, like you were talking about, husband, in college, like they figured out 8G.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the technology for it or something.
Yeah. They can't physically produce the devices that react at that speed.
So it's just a theory anyway, so they didn't figure out nothing. I can hypothetically take people to space. I was saying that. With blimps, maybe, or helium balloons. At some point, you know. People brought sandwiches up to the lower atmosphere. Then you take it, you have something waiting there to do something else. I don't know what that something else is, but I'm just as much a scientist as anybody else with their hypothetical hanging fucking skyscrapers from the moon and shit. Fuck off. Like, but, you know, that's...
I think,
Yeah, that was the secret technology.
Oh, secret technology, gotcha.
Kubrick movies... He didn't know much more than what people did, right? They were just blowing things up to get to space, and they happened to be successful a couple times because I think it took too much balls and too much analog things that, like, they had really smart people that didn't have human life in mind, and it kind of, that was like a pattern in a certain period of, like, industrial onwards, like post World War II, kind of like, no, it was post World War II and into the drug age, and it kind of was dying off in the 70s, where, and then by the 80s things were, they were pretending to blow shit up, apparently. There weren't people who were dedicated to science as culty as they are now, because they were giving themselves to other things and they were learning about themselves. Acid and all that drug stuff is just a way to see yourself split. Just like you split yourself off, you're different when you're with your mom than when you're with your girlfriend. It was a way to split yourself without anybody else involved. So it's like, and that's kind of like, who's that guy?
Is that why people lose their mind when they do too many hallucinogenics?
Yeah.
Because of the split?
Yeah. Just like we lose our minds but it comes off in a different way when we split for other things that are contrary.
Does everybody split when they do hallucinogens?
I would say yes.
What about when we did the DMT?
I would say that you're special. You're so self-indulged, I think, in a certain way, that you can't help but keep that oneness. And everything that makes you two now is the stuff that you worry about. I'm the one that split you into two things because you were so stubborn. But I couldn't exist with you if you were Because it was just all man stuff. It was fucking corruptness and fucking toe the lines and fake lie, do whatever. But I come off as a gentleman, so that makes me the victim. And that may be a dude thing. That may be a some dude thing. That may be the essence of all dude thing.
Well, us. Because now I know.
But you split off for different things, but the self is still the center. You know?
Yeah.
I think when dudes kill themselves, it's because that center, but that center brings back all that bad stuff. The center has all the little minions going out and experiencing life in all these different ways and coming back with all that information and having another thing form inside them. And you either accept it as the center or you don't. It's probably a female problem thing too, because you don't want our influence.
Yeah. Do whatever the hell I want.
That's why.
Don't tell me what to do.
But it's our relationship and through history started as we give you things that we have because we're powerful and that's just what we have. And that affection is repaid by you being a thing for me.
I got a couple
of
thingies. I think one on each, baby.
Do you know about MK Ultra? I have so many thoughts on it. I think MK Ultra is psychedelics, right? Yeah. Because it causes that split, but now you have someone talking to you on the other side of you, if that makes sense. So when you take a psychedelic, like we were talking about, the person that you are is split by way of having 2 points of view. You have the you that you've been your whole life, and you have the you that is now experiencing a different state of mind. And if you're not ready for it, or if you're not, I don't know if ready for it, how do people get ready for it? I think it's just a test that if you pass or fail, to the extent that you pass or fail, because you could pass and fail at any point in time in your life. But if one of those people if that person you become, that point of view, has like the CIA or something telling you what to be, because they know that thing that you are while you're high is going to stay with the you that you are every other time. So they knew about that split, and they tried to tell people who to be. To see, hopefully, I think they were expecting, because that's where the direction of the abuse went. They expected that every point of view was takeoverable. That there isn't a freedom that exists within you that dictates how you react to everything in your life. That rebelliousness, that survival, or that opportunity to be bigger than the thing you oppose. And I think there are impressionable people, and there are people who are less impressionable. People who know, I know who I am to this extent when it's tested, like Star Trek, Captain Picard. There are 4 lights, but he did say there are 5 lights for some time, right?
Yeah.
But you knew that he didn't feel it, like he just felt defeated because he didn't want like the abuse to continue, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, ooh, I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. Because that spirit within the self is the spirit of being free, being an individual that we don't get to control. So it's going to dictate what our penises and vaginas do. It's going to dictate what we like. It's going to dictate our relationships with everyone. And they have limits. The pleasure and the pain limits. Are you okay?
Yeah.
But pleasure and pain is not understanding.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to, I don't know, move on towards, because there's almost like a shift. People are talking about great shifts and blah, blah, blah. There could have been a great shift in consciousness for years and years and years. I think the pain of World War II, the trauma of it, and I don't know if... There were a lot of times where people were doing crazy things to try to understand themselves, from post both world wars to then afterwards. Was that like a mass indoctrination? Did people just get yippity skippity after that?
Yippity skippity wife?
Yeah, like, you know, like poodle skirts or...
Oh.
more wholesome. Because shit was not wholesome before the wars.
No?
No, there was child labor. If a child's suffering, there can't be wholesomeness.
So when was there a shift focused to the family then?
After World War II, when people were traumatized, when they had a space to be filled and it was filled with government, politics, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Some religion, but I don't think as much. But it did make fanatics, probably. Pearl Harbor also had a fully set up movie set. Kubrick had the Space Odyssey. Coincidentally, you're on Odyssey. At the time of the moon landing. Well, do we know for sure if... I would say that it happened because the means to go... the things that we've seen... maybe they were setting things up, because this sounds like something the government would do, to set up just in case they didn't make it.
Yeah.
I think the trauma that the men seem to have, especially the one that's still alive, the things that they said during the time, the little videos that we were able to find, I think all of that, if they wanted it to, if they did it like a movie set, then it wouldn't have taken us years to see little bits and pieces here and there, you know?
Yeah.
The means that people would have to go, people would have to go to hide different things in different, like, Goodwill stores where that guy found one of his tapes. The time, like, most of the moon landing stuff was just boring There was no action, there was no adventure, you know, things. There was a lot of darkness and just like hearing things.
I don't think a film would have deterred the Russians during the space race.
Yeah, because they would have seen it.
Yeah, they people spend a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, there was a war going on.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah. If Russia didn't go, you know, yeah, right, or so, you know,
yeah,
they, if you watch a Russian film versus like American films, you can start measuring the amount, the level that they go to really hammer things in.
Yeah.
And all the moon landing stuff was, I think, measuring it to something that is fake. It's not fake. There's a lot of things that mess with my eyes because it's like, what about the dust? And what about how the light does this? But they're on a piece of earth or a piece of
there's a
rock,
landmass.
a landmass that is completely different from where we are. How do we really measure the perspective of the when you're standing on something that's the circumference diameter, whatever, spherical diameter of the moon versus the earth? It's smaller. The way the light hits it. We're experiencing something new. And I don't think movies are good enough when they have the material to duplicate something, because like they say like a Normandy video or something, nobody could direct it well enough to make it look as real. I don't think people have enough information about things that
people have been trying to fake Bigfoot forever and they haven't been able to do it.
Yeah.
And someone did something far more complicated, like
it's a matter of being smarter than anybody around you. And that the only way to do that is to measure better than them. And you start noticing that these people aren't taking measurements. How do people measure what it looks like to be on the moon? How do people measure fucking what it looks like when a monkey man bear pig fucking walks in the wood? You know? The time and effort that people put into this stuff and the amount of coverage that it gets. And when you really dig in, there's no good information, you know? You don't trust people. Unless I see someone getting eaten by fucking Bigfoot. Unless living in a wooded area for all my life and I've never seen anything out of the ordinary except for that one thing. Somebody told me they seen like a dog, a huge dog, like something that looked like a whitey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, direwolf thing.
Yeah. And like something that big, it has to eat, you know? There's gonna be freaking evidence of it.
Yeah, our
Bigfoot eats fucking berries. No, the fuck he don't. Oh, but he's trans-dimensional. That's why. X-rated and trans-dimensional. It's like, you gotta look at in perspective. Measurement is so important. Oh, we're not letting anything play, so...
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Weird stuff might happen. I don't, people have to die. I mean, like, when there are dangerous things happening, people pay prices, right?
Yeah.
I think I've seen enough old men shaking about, like, one I specifically remember is that Dunkirk movie. They had like the only surviving guy from there, and he was hurt by it, and he cried. And you can't pay an old guy enough to make that emotion, you know. There are things that it's like I understand things the way that we understand things, the way that information is given to us, right? If we didn't experience it ourselves, it was in a fucking book somewhere, it was in fucking school, so you have a place to start measuring. And you look for the contradictions in that instead of going to a completely different story that it was staged or whatever. It's like there are things that happen. There's damage done that is still seeable, especially in the people that have lived through that stuff. They would have to do a lot of damage to people. I mean, I understand it as Pearl Harbor was made to happen. It was gonna happen because it's a fucking war and people have strategy. It's like, you don't need to fake this shit. It's just gonna happen. But instead of doing something about it, setting up defenses, the Illuminati or whatever, the people in charge, let it happen so that they would go into the war towards the end. Yeah. We were only in it for like a couple months or something. Yeah. It's good PR. It all makes sense. It fits a pattern instead of just this fucking guy who has no proof said this. They weren't good enough at doing those things. There was too much going on because enemies are real. You don't need to fake something. When the Japanese really want to fucking kill you, they're gonna fucking try to kill you. Nobody even has the perspective of the people in those times. You know what I mean? Like, what the men, because men like forming fucking groups, it was still Imperial Japan. And these men who are now fucking cuckolded, who are just slamming their nuts and having people shove things in their butts. Shove things in their butts? They're shoving things in their butts in Japan because that's what war fucking took away from them. If we can't measure what really happened, we can't measure the people and how those people are influencing us still now. Men can't even talk to women because before there was like arranged marriages. There were fucking different things going on. There were different attitudes.
If you're not given a choice, you really can't understand it as well as you could if you were given the choice.
Can you say that again?
If you're not given a choice, you can't understand a thing as well as if you were given the choice.
What do you mean?
If you force me to learn about something, I wouldn't understand it as well as if I chose to.
Yeah. So in relation to...
in relation to... we're forced to learn things. The Japanese were forced to learn different things. They had to change. They were forced to change in a way that they didn't understand. We were forced in a way that we don't understand.
And it's in a way that we can understand. If you just look at people, what they have before outside influence came in, see what they become after that, and then see an additional influence. I'm thinking of like when the Japanese were first trading with outside, the priests or who were the Jesuits or whatever, I think, were the first in Japan. The Dutch Jesuits? Or no, maybe it was around the same time. Could it be? Because I think the Jesuits were in like the Netherlands.
Maybe the second or something like that. But I believe the Dutch.
Okay, so during that period of time, there's people who are writing things down that can be translated now, where they communicate what these people were like. They get blah blah blah, they get guns, they start, or what they were doing to like people around them, how they lived their lives were more known, that it was kind of just like a lot of powerful people fighting for power and then trying to philosophize why they shouldn't have power and give power to higher things, and that's fucking everywhere. They're all loud and proud, but then they get these outside influences, and then they have to fight these outside influences. And usually people don't like change, so they don't like people with different ideas, and they get violent with their own people. And they're even more hard on the other people, because now we have more people who agree with us because we just conquered them. They go into this war for... I'm not sure why. I don't understand. Maybe there was like ties with Russia or not, or they were against Russia, and that's why they were used, partnered up with Hitler. Beyond what I know at the moment. But after that, their leaders were executed. Their stuff was taken. West moved in all their influences. Oh, but it's really good because now they made fugu fucking more palatable or whatever. They lost most of themselves. They were told they couldn't have military. They could do defense stuff only. They had to do okays about everything that they did. They were just a puppet.
Their self-reliance was stripped of that.
Yeah. And it affected all the men. Because now, where do we look up to? We have a past here, and this is another split, just like LSD. We had a past here, but now you're influencing us and creating a new past. And trying to force yourself on us by giving us your past. And that's why the men are the way they are in Japan. But what else were people going to do? Just keep fighting? Because men just keep fighting. They did this to themselves. I mean, it's kind of like blamey. Like, what did a little boy now ever do? He was born into this string. He has a history. There are similarities, and there are things that he's bound to naturally, that if it's not contradicted, are going to be the same. Babies aren't born racist because nobody's fucking, but people hate things for different reasons. And we have motivations. Men have motivations to conquer. Has nothing to... Being racist is just stupid. It's who you're allied with.
Yeah.
And what benefits you. That's women trying to explain men's games. Racism is women trying to explain men's game from a woman's perspective. Like, oh, you just hate me, don't you? Don't I say that to you all the time? That's like me asking or telling you that you're a racist. But in a language that is more communicative and shows you who I am and shows you that I don't know who you are. Because sometimes you do hate me and you don't even know it. Like, if you measure it, there's hate. If you go by just what you feel, what you want, you, as men do. It's, I love you. Now, put these earrings on and get on the bed, you know? Put on that pretty necklace and bend over.
I only demand that of you every day for 10 years, and This is the way you act.
Not you specifically. But I do know that it makes you fucking horny, so I know how I can measure men by you. But I still get to be me. Sorry, what?
Keep measuring. Get the ruler.
Love you.
I love you too, wife. Nobody said anything in a while? Should we start reading, maybe?
The letter J is from the 1500s when it was changed from an I. Are you a bot just telling me random information?
I felt like everything that has been said has been non...
Who controlled the media, museums, publishers, governments, and currency? They control what you believe is history. It's like, I'm saying what you're saying, but in like a better way. So maybe you could get your game up if you listen to us instead of telling me random facts that you heard from some ding dong on YouTube. Just saying. I appreciate that you're here, but
just Super Saiyan.
It's like just Super Saiyan that there's a problem of this. This ignorance is the problem right now. That these measurements have to get better. It's not just, you know, saying things in a language that people argue in. There's a truth to get to that can be communicated with words. And
Evolution.
That's what...
Evolution.
Yeah. We're trying to apply better thinking to these situations. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what is propaganda? People, everything is propaganda. Propaganda is a word to describe something that it's not really. You know, when it's state sanctioned, when somebody signs a fucking paper about it, like, when somebody has an agenda, you have an agenda. You're talking propaganda, I'm talking propaganda right now.
If you were trying to get someone to do something, that is, whatever you're doing is propaganda.
Yeah.
It's propaganda to get paid.
You just have to, it's just what is the least. You have to have good intentions, right? Yeah. How hard is it to have good intentions? I would say fucking impossible.
Yeah.
I could not do what we're doing now if I didn't have selfish intentions. I told you it starts with the self, right? It should start with the self with everybody. That's not just giving into all the self. It's knowing who the self is. And it's not all the dumb bullshit. It's just, I'm me with all these opportunities, and this is the best. I can measure the best. I can experience curiosity. I can experience love. There are things that I want. There's a best direction to go in. Tigers can't do that. Fucking retards.
But they can play banjos.
I would imagine their nails would be too sharp. They'd break the string.
We gotta do something. I think.
Maybe turtles.
Seals can play with balls. Otters can do things.
Every time I think of a tiger, I think of this like live leak thing or something where a guy went into a tiger den and got defeated by a tiger. But he didn't try. He just laid there. I don't know what they said his intentions were. But it's like setting yourself, I think it was like setting yourself on fire. Like, this is how little I care about life, and this is the only way I can express it. Words are a fragile thing. They should be appreciated more, and they should represent the action of feelings. Because those people hurt. You don't just because life doesn't matter. It's because the life that could matter is taken away. The life that could matter is beaten from you every fucking day.
The hurt the life that is hurts from the lack of what could be.
Not the life that is. That sounds like too much blame on life.
Or the current environment. There's my
It's humans' fault.
yeah.
It's man's fault.
Yeah.
It's been man's fault since beginning of time, but it was just his burden to bear. How else was things gonna happen when everybody... There were other people that wanted to fight. There was other people that wanted stuff. When men started talking, they're like, hey, I like the way dudes look. And that's not... We don't have a word for gay, but, you know, if we were to think about it in a measurable way, to think about dudes and think about chicks, I'm getting just as hot for this dude that I did for a chick once. Temperance. And that, like, the discovery of self is in the book, and I don't have to be talking. They're like, I like to destroy things. We read about it in the Republic, right?
Yeah.
After you have a city, what do? He's like, well, you go fucking take over another city because you want more stuff.
Yeah. You want more things. So
oh no, something was automatically removed. And I don't like that. We gotta change settings. What is visit? Dang it. What is this fucking auto censoring? Odyssey, you're already not on my good list. That shouldn't be the automatic thing. You want to do a little banner like, hey, there's an option here if you want it, but it's off by default. Dang. This... Oh no, there's another one. Hold on. We're going to try to fix this.
It's all these, they're being deleted. Why, if they're just going.
What do you mean?
Look, they're stacking up.
Oh, it's just that they get removed after a certain amount of time. Why'd they gotta make an announcement about that?
I don't know what's happening.
Started 19 seconds ago. What does that mean? Are we still going?
I think so. I just switched over to Photoshop.
Okay.
If you keep an eye on that. Boop. Yeah, it's there. We're still going.
Okay. Why does it kind of remove stuff? That seems like so silly. Such a distraction. And like, why waste the bandwidth? You know? You have to send and receive signals to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Odyssey, oh, but I gotta pay 2 Bitcoins or whatever to live stream. What are you even talking about? It's good?
I guess so. All the messages are gone.
So history just gets erased? Why would you do that, Odyssey?
Yeah.
So you want to
easily
have
options or something. That's ridiculous.
I'll do... What is that? Can I close this? Or do we need this Odyssey thing up?
I would like to have it open.
How does internet work? Comment down below.
You open, just, yeah.
And it'll just be there?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna... should I work on an old one? Because I still got the end of the world. But I kind of wanted to start all over again.
Go for it.
Now that I know a new trick, you know?
Yeah.
Or I could... Make cat dog, or I could comment down below. What should I Photoshop? Should I?
You do one with fat girls or with an animal that's got 2 buttholes and no face.
Who would? Oh, I know. I wanted to do that Vaughn guy. I wanted to find clips of him making O faces, and I wanted to put horses. And him like going, ooh, kawaii, I love horses, or something like that. It's topical because we're live streaming. Is that topical? Comment down below.
And he's gay streaming.
He's probably saying some dumb something about something or other. You gotta make such an effort to say such dumb shit. But it's like, it's all selfish, isn't it? It's like, I have to defend what I like. So all of the politics things that I say, why don't you just like good things? Which goes into the child marriage thing, because I'm sure he doesn't care about child marriage, but he probably cares if the child's getting satisfied, why don't you just let him do it? Like, that's disgusting. He's so far removed from who he was as a child that he can't think of how traumatizing it would have been. Or maybe it was traumatized. He doesn't remember that trauma. So if I pick up Brave, it'll take it to Brave too?
Yeah, if there's a gold, yeah.
So I should open a new one?
I guess as long as you don't minimize Photoshop.
But you said I need a new window, right? Because OBS recognizes it.
If you do that, you want to show the internet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then if you do new window
or new private window, no, because I want the history. You could see how many times I looked up Gangnam Style.
I think that what you have to do,
the porno,
is make sure that Photoshop is. Oh, there we go.
Woo woo.
So.
Swag strong. What are you looking for? This is so unprofessional.
It's so unprofessional. I just want to see. So I guess if you minimize the window, then it'll go back to Photoshop. And just there's one, since they're layered, minimizing one will lead you to the other. I was trying to figure out which one was which. So do you remember where we left off with this, baby?
Charmides is taking the side of Socrates and kind of like, oh, you're the one that taught me this, to his uncle, and he was getting mad.
The uncle was getting mad.
Yeah, and he started quoting somebody else, and there was a whole bunch of contradictions in everything that they were saying, and it was really confusing, but that's the point.
Yeah. So the last...
This is not this guy.
Vouch.
Like the Stampede. Of Ace. Wash of face. He probably doesn't get like excited because he's like, look at me, I'm an intellectual. I can say things and insult people in a way that's very condescending.
Look at him think he's so cool, like Fooly Cooley.
He's Fooly Cooley over. Oh yeah, because of the TV thing. Oh, I totally get that anime. there's something, maybe there's
I would
something
say
inside.
he's a smooth brain. That's what happens in Fooly Cooley. The iron irons out the world. Like it's supposed to be like wrinkling out your brains.
Is that what's happening in Fooly Cooley?
Yeah.
So he's a smooth brain. He's a smooth brain. Like that's what he's saying he is. I'm a smooth brain.
No, I don't think he understands Fooly Cooley.
Because they're TVs, right? And there's something. We gotta watch that. Make a thing.
I would watch some furry curry. They made a new furry curry too that I haven't seen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a shocked face.
So
that's the other guy.
So Socrates, this is the last question. Socrates asked Critias.
This is the last question that Socrates asked Critias.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am curious to know whether you imagine that temperate men are ignorant of their own temperance.
Are ignorant men aware
are temperate men?
Are temperate men ignorant of their temperance?
Yes.
Oh, I remember Socrates was pointing out a contradiction here because Critias says, yes, they're ignorant, but you have to have wisdom to be temperate.
Yeah.
And to be wise is to not be ignorant. To be aware of the self and the things around the self.
Yeah.
Okay. We could still read that part. I think that would be
okay.
good.
So Critias responds, I don't think so, he said. And yet, were you not saying just now that craftsmen might be temperate in doing another's work, as well as in doing their own?
Oh, do you think those were removed because he removed them? Because I asked if you're a bot asking me fucking random questions? And it was somebody going in and removing their... Oh, you got caught.
If that's the way it goes, we'll have to...
It's being recorded, dum-dum. Now you extra showed yourself.
Recorded what? I don't know if we have...
YouTube.
The YouTube...
We are recording on YouTube.
Oh, on the different things. Yeah, when we have answered every single one of the...
Yeah. Oh, because of the video.
Because I don't...
there was some video.
Yeah, we don't
know. No, we don't have the shit. Well, I'll know. I'll find you again.
We used to put up the chat on the screen. We'd have it recorded that way.
What?
Like visually record the chat.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is so small. That's unfortunate.
What a great face.
I'll still use it because it's the best face I found.
And yet, were you not saying just now that craftsmen might be temperate in doing another's work, as well as doing his own? I was, he replied, but what is your drift? I have no particular drift, but I wish that you would tell me whether a physician who cures a patient may do good to himself and good to another also. I think that he may. And he who does this so does his duty? Yes. And does he not who does his duty act temperately or wisely? Yes, he acts wisely. I think that's where we ended last time. Because Socrates said like he asked this question, do you act temperately or do you act wisely? So one is not the other. So...
Oh, yeah.
But must the physician necessarily know when his treatment is likely to prove beneficial and when not? Or must the craftsman necessarily know when he is likely to be benefited and when not to be benefited by the work which he is doing? I suppose not. Then I said, he may sometimes do good or harm and not know what he himself is doing. And yet, in doing good, as you say, he has done temperately or wisely. Was that not your statement? Yes. Then, as would seem, in doing good, he may act wisely or temperately, and be wise or temperate, but not know his own wisdom or temperance? But that, Socrates, he said, is impossible. And therefore, if this is, as you imply, the necessary consequence of any of my previous admissions, I will withdraw them.
Oh, I remember that part too. I
Rather,
think. No, or maybe just Thrasymachus said that when we were reading in the bathtub.
we got here, I think. I will withdraw them rather than admit a man can be temperate or wise who does not know himself. And I am not ashamed to confess that I was in error. For self-knowledge would certainly be maintained by me to be the very essence of knowledge. And in this I agree with him who dedicated the inscription, "Know thyself," at Delphi. That word, if I am not mistaken, is put there as a sort of salutation which the god addresses to those who enter the temple, as much as to say that the ordinary salutation of hail is not right, and that the exhortation, "Be temperate," would be a far better way of saluting one another. The notion of him who dedicated the inscription was, as I believe, that the god speaks to those who enter the temple, not as men speak, but when a worshipper enters, the first word which he hears is, "Be temperate." This, however, like a prophet, he expresses in a sort of riddle, for "know thyself" and "be temperate" are the same. As I maintain, and
Carmides is saying this?
Critias.
Critias is saying this?
Yes.
So he's, by what he just said, he's contradicting what the first question that he answered for Socrates. That does a temperate person have to know he's temperate?
Yeah.
And here he's saying a wise man knows himself.
Yes. And at the beginning of this, he says, "This is impossible, and therefore I will, through the consequence of any of my previous admissions," the things he said in the past, he goes, "I have to withdraw them."
Oh, so he's saying I made a mistake?
Yeah. So he's like,
really?
You have showed me that I have made the error.
And then he found another quote that he remembered.
Yeah, now he's talking about the reason that I agree with you is because I saw this thing at Delphi that said, "Know thyself," and he's spouting off.
I haven't seen like a little bit of wiener in any of these that are bucking or whatever.
The old lady horses.
Yeah, or it's just a bad angle. Because I don't want to like zoom in too much. I don't. This isn't meant to like, a deep dive into horse dick. But I figured like it would just be jiggling out of there. Which one do you think Vaughn would like the most? Oh, here's one, but he's not bucking. Maybe, is that what it's called? Bucking? Nay. Oh, he would probably like something like that, right? That's unique. Oh, that's bucking. It's when the back goes up. Oh, yeah. Look deeper. Is that for real?
I don't wanna.
I think I'm just gonna
I'll go right into his butthole if I look any deeper. Of that.
Look deeper.
You can't make me.
Oh.
As I maintain, and as the letters imply, and yet they may be easily misunderstood, and succeeding sages who added never too much or give a pledge and evil is nigh at hand would appear to have so misunderstood them, for they imagined that know thyself was a piece of advice which the god gave, and not his salutation of the worshippers at their first coming in. And they dedicated their own inscription under the idea that they too would give equally useful pieces of advice. Shall I tell you, Socrates, why I say all this? My object is to leave the previous discussion, in which I know not whether you or I are more right, but at any rate, no clear result was obtained.
I thought you...
He did. He says...
Oh, so he's just contradicting. You're like watching the struggle of Socrates trying to like pull in. You know, like when you're doing, when you're pulling a rope from or to something or towards yourself. There's the forward with your hand that pulls with right or left, and you do your right or left, you do your right or left. There's like this train of movement that you can see where he keeps his biases from last time, where he changes, if those changes are genuine or not.
Critias says, "Oh, I was in error, and I will admit that I was in error.
But also,
but I don't know if you and I were more right." Socrates isn't the one who said he was in error.
Oh yeah, he just asked him a question, and Critias couldn't answer it.
So he's like, "We'll call it a draw, Socrates."
Fuck off.
And I want to change the subject.
Who does that remind you of? Anybody? It reminds me of you. It's like they're talking through the thing that we acted through. You know?
Yeah.
That's spooky as fuck, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Should I make it like completely? I don't want to look at this guy very long. And I feel like if I do too much detail, it says I looked at his face for that long.
Are you gonna liquefy the face?
Oh! Husband. You dastardly... Was it Duke Dastardly? Husband Duke Dastardly. Where is it? Filter?
So
yes.
Do you want to know why Critias said all this? He asked Socrates. So, I want to move on. And to raise a new one, which I will attempt to prove if you deny that temperance is self-knowledge.
Can you say that again?
My object is to leave the previous discussion, in which I know not whether you and I are more right, but at any rate, no clear result was attained, and to raise a new one, which I will attempt to prove if you deny that temperance is self-knowledge.
That last part, I lose you. I'm sorry.
Critias wants to say, like, I'm not want to talk about this anymore. He goes, I am now asserting that temperance is self-knowledge.
Oh, and it doesn't matter that what Socrates thinks. He's like, I've changed, and now I want to move on.
Yeah. Yes, I said, Critias, but you come to me as though I professed to know about questions which I ask, and as though I could if I only would agree with you. Whereas the fact is that I inquire with you into the truth of that which is advanced from time to time, just because I do not know, and when I have inquired, I will say whether I agree with you or not. Please, then allow me
Wait,
time to
I
reflect.
lost you. I'm sorry. Is this Socrates?
Yes, Socrates.
Can you just say what Socrates said again?
Yes, I said, Critias. But you come to me as though I professed to know about the questions which I ask.
Oh, it's like, okay, I learned my lesson. This is definitely this. Let's move on. You're not recognizing that I may want to know more information.
Maybe. And as though I could, if I only would agree with you. Whereas the fact is that I inquire with you into the truth of which is advanced from time to time.
So I don't necessarily agree with you, Critias. That's his name, right?
Critias.
Critias. I gotta think about this myself before I go defining shit like you just did. Maybe you didn't do the best thing. Let me check. Processing. Beep, 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 beep. I feel like that's how I've had to talk to people. And they're like, well, fuck you, you're autistic. You know? Nobody throughout my whole fucking life would give thoughts time to process. And I've always felt rushed. Fuck that shit.
Just because I do not know, and when I have inquired, I will say whether I agree with you or not. Please then allow me time to reflect. Reflect, he said. I am reflecting, I replied. I read it with that tone of voice. He does say.
Oh,
he does say though. I am reflecting. He said.
So what have you told me by telling me that you said you read it in your voice? That you made a decision to read it that way?
Yeah, I decided to be a character because I.
How couldn't I have come to that conclusion myself? Because it's what other conclusion could I come to? You're presuming, like fucking Critias, that I thought something based on what you said you did. It's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Damn, I wish we recorded that remove stuff. That would have looked funny in like a video or something.
Yeah.
We could do a whole thing. We talk to robots all the fucking night. I still think we talk about good stuff though. It's like, yeah, let's talk about fucking why the moon landing probably isn't a fucking hoax, you know? If everybody's like, oh, blah, blah, we got the best things to say about it. Fucking gibbets.
I am reflecting, I replied. And
what are they trying to say then? Sorry, husband. Think about it. If that was a fucking robot, why were they programmed to fucking say some shit like that? To just force chaos?
Yeah.
Why? Whose fucking agenda is it? And what do they plan to... What's the master plan? I could tell you what it is and what it does, but I don't know if that's what they're trying to do. But I feel like it's my adversary, you know?
Yeah, to do that thing, to rile people up. To get people agitated. It's a catalyst for...
It's not to give people bad information?
That may be a secondary goal, but I don't think it's the first. I think it's the first is to...
Well, why wouldn't you be riled up that such stupidity is at your face. Right?
Maybe you're those of the mindset stay in your lane.
Who? Me?
Not you, but you could be. Or, I mean, not you. You could, but a person could be somebody this bot runs into. They could be staying in your lane and they're doing a thing that causes reaction for them to come out of their lane. It's agitation, I think.
Okay.
A perturbant of the...
What about spreading weird theories about shit and making people think stupid things?
I think people who make bots are opinionated. And it usually goes back to a group of people or a singular person. There's opinions there. One possibility. So I am reflecting, I replied, and discover that temperance or wisdom, if implying that a knowledge of anything must be a science, and a science of something.
A knowledge and a what? Who's he, what's it?
I am reflecting, I replied, and I discover that temperance or wisdom, if implying a knowledge of anything, must be a science, and a science of something.
Damn right. Measurements.
Yes, he said, the science of itself.
What the fuck does that mean? Shut up.
Is not medicine, I said, the science of health.
Medicine, the science of health. Okay.
True. And suppose, I said, that I were asked by you what is the use or effect of medicine, which is this science of health. I should answer that medicine is of very great use in producing health, which, as you will admit, is an excellent effect.
This is still Socrates, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So producing health is good.
Okay.
Granted. And if you were to ask me, what is the result or effect of architecture, which is the science of building, I should say houses, and so of the other arts, which all have their different results. Now I want you, Critias, to answer a similar question about temperance or wisdom, which, according to you, is the science of itself. Admitting this view, I ask of you...
Oh, he's saying because health is the science of doctoring, or whatever he said.
Medicine.
Health is the... How did he say it?
Let's see here. I gotta go back. Which is the use or effect of medicine, which is the science of health.
Well, no, not the definition, but he's comparing two different things. Health is the science of medicine. There's a cause and effect.
Architecture is the science of building.
There's a cause and effect. We use architecture to build houses, but then wisdom or temperance is just the art of itself. Or what did he say? Wisdom is the art of the self? Of itself?
That's what Critias has declared. He's like, you have just admitted this.
That wisdom?
Critias says that wisdom is the science of itself.
Wisdom is the science of itself. So nothing Socrates mentioned is the science of itself. So why would wisdom?
I think so. I want you, Critias, to answer a similar question about temperance or wisdom, which is, according to you, is the science of itself. Admitting this view, I ask of you, what good work worthy of the name wise does temperance or wisdom, which is the science of itself, affect? Answer me.
One more time?
What good work worthy of the name wise does temperance or wisdom, which is the science of itself, affect?
Oh, that last part. Which the science of the self affects?
Which is the science, wisdom, or temperance is the science of itself, affect. What good work does wisdom affect?
What good work does wisdom affect? Because it has to affect something, right? Just like health is the effect of medicine.
Yeah.
You find medicine because you seek health.
Yeah. So what is the effect of wisdom?
Cool.
That is not the true way of pursuing the inquiry, Socrates, he said.
Get the fuck out of here.
For wisdom is not like the other sciences, any more than they are like one another. But the sciences are very similar to each other.
Yeah. So
they share. I think I think they talked about like when they were defining things. Art. There's a power that they have. Maybe that's in the Republic. We talk about. Oh yeah, I think they talk more about arts in the Republic than they have in this. But you proceed as if they were alike. For tell me, he said, what result is there of computation or geometry in the same sense as a house is the result of building, or a garment of weaving, or any other work of any other art? Can you show me such results of them? You cannot. That is true, I said. But still each of these sciences has a subject which is different from the science. I can show you that the art of computation has to do with odd and even numbers and their numerical relations to themselves and to each other. Is that not true? Yes, he said. And the odd and even numbers are not the same with the art of and the odd and even numbers are not the same with the art of computation. They are not. The art of weighing, again, has to do with lighter and heavier. But the art of weighing is one thing, and the heavy and the light are another. Do you admit that? Yes. Now, I want to know, what is that which is not wisdom, and of which wisdom is the science? You are just falling into the old error, Socrates, he said.
Ew, not even answering the fucking question. Alright. I see where this is going.
You come asking in what wisdom or temperance differs from the other sciences, and then you try to discover some respect in which they are alike. But they are not, for all the other sciences are of something else, and not of themselves. Wisdom alone is the science of other sciences, and of itself. And of this, as I believe, you are very well aware, and that you are only doing what you denied that you were doing just now, trying to refute me instead of pursuing the argument.
Oh, God. I feel like this is like... translating every experience that I've had with people. Like, this, in simple terms, it's like, you can't even... What do people say? You can't even talk about not aware. You didn't answer my question. Fucking shit like that. And it's like, what are you talking about? Are you not fucking listening?
Yeah.
Oh, Socrates.
And what if I am? How can you think that I have any other motive in refuting you but what I should have in examining into myself? Which motive would be just a fear of my unconscious fancying that I knew something of which I was ignorant? And at this moment I pursue the argument chiefly for my own sake, and perhaps in some degree...
Wait, chiefly for his own sake?
Yeah, he wants to know. He's not
trying
to argue.
Socrates.
Yeah, Socrates said, I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to find the truth.
Like, we're on the same page here, buddy boy. This isn't a war. We are still existing on the same plane of fucking existence. Unlike fucking horse liquor over here, all those fucking crazy Twitter people who have so many people listening to their opinions, and all of it is so bad. It's like, you don't even know the reformations of the diaphragm of Jigglypuff's anatomy. Just shut the fuck up.
Go look in the firmament. God.
Yeah, right?
Does anybody said anything over there, baby?
No.
Okay. So at this moment, I pursue the argument chiefly for my own sake, and perhaps in some degrees also for the sake of my other friends.
98 degrees.
For is not the discovery of things as they truly are a good common to all mankind?
Can you say that again?
For is not the discovery of things as they truly are
and common?
A good common to all mankind.
A good
common.
Like
is discovering things a good thing for everybody? Are they common?
Yeah.
Would everybody agree that discovering
they could have made what we've been thinking about for 2,500 years if they just fucking listened to Socrates? But they didn't get it. Just like you haven't learned anything in 2,500 years, basically. Because nobody's has been trying to do this best for everyone. Government isn't what's best for everyone. It just keeps everyone from the best thing. Ew, what was that? Oh, just a little bit of water. For some reason, I thought it was going to be green tea, but it didn't have any sugar, and felt weird in my mouth.
For is not the discovery of things as they truly are a good common to all mankind?
Yes. Looking for what's best is a good thing.
For the truth, I think. For is not the discovery of things as they truly are.
Yeah. Well, the truth is the best.
Okay.
You can only unlock the truth when you go in the best direction. So it's like best has to come first because of the common practice that's good. I guess. What's best brings truth. Put that on a t-shirt, Elon Musk, fucking loser idiot.
Yes, certainly.
Cream pie.
Yes, certainly, Socrates, he said. Then I said, be cheerful, sweet sir. and give me your opinion and answer to the question which I asked, never minding whether Critias or Socrates is the person refuted.
What refuted? Who's talking?
This is Socrates.
Oh, geez, muscular stallion on DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised he doesn't have a freaking bulging bullshit fucking sexual thing.
You're gonna put some of those. You're gonna go on DeviantArt and find more muscly horses. Is that a horse's head on a fucking Negro's body? Look at that. Like, even like the neck.
Oh yeah, it's not a very hairy horse. Why would they make... Oh, because it's a free pick. You get 300 megapixels. That's it. Or whatever that shit is. I think he would like this one the best. Or this one, but it's too fake. That's probably not real, right?
Muscle mare.
For affinity... Oh, that's probably the website he went to, right? Where he was getting all the lolly?
Oh, maybe.
Strong horse with big muscles.
Man. There was a naked guy, but good thing he didn't have a dong.
Yeah. Ah! Then if you take the face away, you don't know it's a horse, so I can't really use it at the moment. Maybe I'll just put him in there somewhere. We'll see. He likes the right stuff. Too bad it's probably a female too. 4,969 muscular horse photos.
I counted. They're all there. They're all there.
Oh, fuck. What's love got to do with it? Everybody's listening to Tina Turner, and she was punched in the face by her husband, so why are you listening to a fucking...
What's horses got to do with it? Who needs some oats when my oats can be munching? No?
You got too into it. Oh, dang.
Okay. Socrates again. Then I said, be cheerful, sweet sir, and give your opinion and the answer to the question which I asked, never minding whether Critias or Socrates is the person refuted. Attend only to the argument and see what
Oh, they're asking the kid?
No.
No?
Socrates is asking Critias. He goes, it doesn't matter who's being refuted. If it's you, if it's me, I'm trying to answer the question. Let's figure out the truth. Attend only to the argument and see what will come of the refutation. I think that you are right, he replied, and I will do as you say. Tell me, then, I said, what do you mean to affirm about wisdom? I mean to say that wisdom is the only science which is the science of itself, as well as of the other sciences.
Itself, but also all of them?
Yeah.
Just what a fucking dude's been doing the same shit for fucking years. It's everything and nothing. That is bipolar in dudes. The same shit was in Moomba. He was like, everything sucks. I don't deserve shit. I deserve everything. I fucking hate myself. I love myself too much. I was like, well, what is it? Just stay somewhere. Why can't you do that?
But the science of science, I said, will also be the science of the absence of science. Very true, he said. Then the wise are temperate man, and he only will know himself, and be able to examine what he does or does not know, and to see what others know, and to think that they know, and do really know, and what they do not know, and
What?
fancy that they know when they do not.
Is this still Socrates?
Yes.
Okay, I think I need to hear that know what they do not know part again.
I
if
feel
you
like
would.
this is the Samuel L. Jackson. The evidence absence is not the absence of evidence. There are known knowns and unknown unknowns.
Yeah.
Then the wise or temperate man, and he only, will know himself, and be able to examine what he knows or does not know, and to see what others know and think that they know, and do really know.
One more time.
He will be able to look into others and see what they know.
Oh, okay. He's saying that
A temperate man will be able to.
when you share info, because they were just talking about that, right? When you share information with people, as opposed, I'm talking. Pretend you're not talking to me. Pretend you're talking to anybody, because the truth exists outside. I can't say it in his words. I don't remember, but he's referring to all that, right?
I don't think so. I think
because you can see inside people when you talk to them. There's a shape that people take. There's there's a shape that information takes inside of self, and you can see it inside people, because if the truth exists outside of us, then the truth has to be the same shape inside of all of us, or our journey towards truth, the method that we go finding truth. And if it's not the same shape in someone else, then there's an issue in truth and people's truth, the people's truth.
With Judge Judy. So the wise man will know himself and be able to examine what he knows and what he doesn't. And to see
the wise man,
the wise man will know himself.
The wise man will know himself.
And will be able to examine.
And will be able to examine
what he knows.
What he knows.
And what he doesn't
and
know.
what he doesn't know. Why does it sound so unfamiliar? Because it's
this thing you've been talking about for...
Yeah. It's hard to, when you have to really let other people's words take shape inside yourself. Instead of just kind of like letting it mull over you, or I don't know.
Tiny Wines?
Mm-hmm.
And to see what others know and think that they know and do really know. You can see in others the same
measuring things. That truth inside everybody.
Yeah. And what they do not know and fancy that they know when they do not.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to see the patterns. No other person will be able to do this. And this is wisdom and temperance and self-knowledge. For a man to know what he knows and what he does not know. That is your meaning? Yes, he said.
Wait. That's your meaning? Can you say the part before that?
This is wisdom and temperance and self-knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
For a man to know what he knows and what he does not know. That is your meaning?
So he's asking Critias if what Socrates thinks wisdom is what Critias thinks it is. He's remeasuring. He's going back to the basics where he asks a question where a contradiction will show up because he's already Charmides has kind of like closed the door. He was like, I'm not talking about this anymore. So when that happens, you have to open the door again and start from somewhere. So now he's like, do you think this? But instead of saying, do you agree with this? Is this what you're saying you are? And if he agrees, then again, the measurements bounce going from what Socrates says to what Charmides.
The old Charmides.
What Charmides says in return. All right, I'm up to speed.
Now then, I said, making an offering of the third or last argument to Zeus the Savior, let us begin again.
Zeus the Savior?
Yeah.
What the hell does he mean, Zeus the Savior? Is that like that singular god stuff?
I'm wondering if this is an expression. Because he says, let's start again. With you just talked about shutting the door. And
yeah.
You gotta open it again.
Yeah.
I think he's like, all right, let's start again.
And what does Zeus the Savior have to do with that?
Jupiter's cock, wife. Let's make an offering to Zeus the Savior.
Oh! Okay. Crazy stuff to have to get in tune with. Or at least attempt to. But if you can measure people, if they could measure each other, Socrates could measure them, we can measure Socrates by doing the same shit that he does. Because it's the thing to do, not because he thought of it or anybody can come to this. Trying to just get the hair. Having a hard time.
Oh, gotcha.
Not that it should really matter that much. I keep fucking...
So, now then, I said, making an offering of the third or last argument to Zeus the Savior, let us begin again. And ask in the first place...
Did he give a number? Like the third offering?
An offering of the third or last argument.
Oh, just whatever they were talking about.
I think so.
Okay.
So let's ask in the first place, whether it is or is not possible for a person to know that he knows and does not know what he knows and does not know.
Wait. Because
Is it possible or not for a person to know that he knows and does not know what he knows and does not know? Can you not know what you not know? And can you not know that you know?
No. Yes. A little bit.
So you can know what you know and don't know what you know. And
that's where like a lot of religious stuff comes from, or like where people are like, they just get a thought in their head. Like I said that I did before. And then other people have said that, oh, it was like God fucking something. You could not know that you know because there's something in there that is just, maybe they couldn't then, but. So he told Charmides his opinion that this is what I think wisdom is, and now he's saying, so do you agree? In like the in little portions, because wisdom is you have to be aware. When you have wisdom, you know when you know, and you know that there's things that you don't know. And he's like, so can someone that?
Is it possible or not to know what you know and know what you don't know and not know what you don't know?
Yeah.
And in the second place, whether if perfectly possible such knowledge is of any use. That is what we have to consider, he said. And here, Critias, I said, I hope that you will find a way out of difficulty into which I have got myself. I shall tell you the nature. Shall I tell you the nature of the difficulty? By all means, he replied. Does not what you have been saying, if true, amount to this?
Who's talking?
Socrates.
Okay.
That there must be a single science which is wholly a science of itself and of other sciences, and that is the science, and that the same is also the science of the absence of science. So there's a single science out there, which is, it fits the shape. It is the science of itself. It is the science of all the other sciences, and it is the science of the absence of science.
Okay, yeah, it's like the scientific method. That the way that you can measure everything by. So you can see what isn't science, you can see what is science, and you can you can see
where it's missing.
It defines itself by being the thing that it is, I guess.
You can see what it is, what it isn't, and where it's missing.
No, the science doesn't miss.
He talks
the
about
person
the absence of science, the science of
where it isn't. That's the absence of science.
Okay.
And then the other one,
So it's the science of itself. It's the science of the other sciences, and the science of the absence of science. By all means, he replied. Sorry, that's not what happens. Yes, he agrees. But consider how monstrous this proposition is, my friend. In any parallel case, the impossibility will be transparent to you.
Charmides is saying this, or
Socrates. Socrates was like, he's like, I want to understand what you're saying. That you're saying that wisdom it's the science of these three things.
Oh, so he tried to find the best case scenario of what Charmander is saying. I think.
Does not what you have been saying, if true, amount to this? That there is a single science which is wholly a science of itself and the other sciences, and that is the same, and that the same is also the science of absence. Yes.
How were they talking and it's just like, yes, when we can't even understand this shit?
But consider how monstrous this proposition is, my friend. In any parallel case, the impossibility will be transparent to you. How is that? And in what case do you mean?
What do you mean?
In such case as this, suppose that there is a kind of vision which is not like ordinary vision, but a vision of itself, and of other sorts of visions,
Sound like fucking Twilight Zone.
and of the defect of them, which in seeing sees no color, but only itself, and the other sorts of vision. Do you think that there is such a kind of vision?
Oh man, what? Can we go over the vision thing again? No.
Nope. I'm done. I'm going to bed. I was speaking of that, I gotta be up early.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
What time?
I gotta be ready to go by 9.
Okay.
Suppose that there is a kind of vision which is not like ordinary vision,
Okay.
but a vision of itself and of other sorts of vision, and of the defects of them, which in seeing sees no color, but only itself and other sorts of vision.
So a thing where you can't see color.
You don't.
A dimension not of body
Sight
and
and
sound, or sight and sound, but of mind.
Is there a vision that only sees other visions?
The imagination.
He says, certainly not. Critias says, certainly not.
Well, he's full of shit.
Socrates says, or is there a kind of hearing which hears no sound at all, but only itself and other sorts of hearing, or the defects of them?
Imagination. The self talking and doing understanding self stuff. Will you? Okay, keep going, sorry.
There is not. Or take all these senses. Can you imagine that there is any sense of itself and of other senses, but which is incapable of perceiving the objects of the senses? I think
Can
not.
you say that again?
Can you imagine that there is any sense of itself and of other senses, but which is incapable of perceiving the objects of the senses?
The inside.
I think not. Could there be any desire which is not the desire of any pleasure, but of itself, and of all other desires? Certainly not. Or can you imagine a wish which wishes for not good, but only for itself and all the other wishes? I should answer no. Or would you say that there is a love which is not the love of beauty, but of itself and of other loves? I should not.
Oh, just love an overarching things instead of specific things. That these things are like in groups. Like we were talking about before, that having to feel sorry for black people and having to feel sorry for Jews are in their separate, instead of it being like getting to decide for the self what makes you feel bad, you're pressured to feel bad, so it splits off into many different feelings, many different sorrowfuls, instead of just having,
I was just looking, baby.
Okay, I was looking. You made me. When you look at things, I look at them.
I think that's the case, baby. Or did you ever know of a fear which fears itself or other fears, but has no object of fear? I never did, he said.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's weird that he puts that together with the other stuff. That fear part. Does that, I don't know, say stuff to you? It says stuff to me. We don't have to talk about it.
I wouldn't have ever gone in a fear direction discussing things.
But it makes sense, right? Because he's putting all that there is a concept of love, there is a concept of fear.
There's some sort of sense that is of itself. He's like matching the three things that the what's his face said before. That it's a science of.
It's like the "you are here" in our little ditty.
That's kind of neat. Or of an opinion which is an opinion of itself and of other opinions, and which has no opinion on the subjects of the opinion in general? Certainly not. But surely we are assuming a science of this kind, which, having no subject matter, is a science of itself and of the other sciences. Yes, that is what I affirmed. But how strange is this, if it be indeed true that we must not, however, as yet absolutely deny the possibility of such a science. Let us consider the matter.
Dang, husband, we don't got nothing to drink. It's all gone. There's a tiny bit of milk.
Oh, God. I'll go get us some tea.
I think we should BRB, and I'll go pee.
Okay.
BRB.
You're in control of that at the moment there, wife.
Are you ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be, I guess.
Oh, I'm not ready. I didn't get lotion. That tastes like chocolate or something.
What tastes like chocolate?
The green sweet tea. Like something creamy and something else. Mm. Okay.
But surely we are assuming a science of this kind, which having no subject matter, is a science of itself and of other sciences. Yes, that is what this is what is affirmed. So, how can you have a science with something that has no subject matter?
Because it's all encompassing. It's like gravity is outside of the things that have gravitational, that are influenced by gravity. It's the gravity itself. It's the science itself. Because that method that you use to find everything else, you use to make words to describe it.
I'm just gonna go along and I'll have to come back.
Okay. Well, what's the disagreement? Or do you have a disagreement?
That these things that he's talking about, that there's a fear which fears itself, or other fears, but has no object of fear. So, or a vision that can only see other visions. That doesn't make sense to me.
A vision that can see other visions?
Yes. But doesn't see the things that the vision sees. It only sees the visions.
Why doesn't it see the other visions?
Suppose there is a kind of vision which is not like ordinary vision, but a vision of itself and of other sorts of vision, and of the defects of them, which in seeing sees no color, but only itself and the other
It's
sorts
the imagination
of vision.
It's the that's imagination. You don't see colors, you imagine colors. It's not just aware of itself. It's aware of itself and other things, and the being the unaware of it.
So if we were to put the imagination in here, substitute the words in, it should fit, you know?
It depends how you're defined, because imagination is part of a bigger system. There is no imagination without the self that experiences imagination. There's the inside self. Maybe put inside self as you know it.
Let's keep on going.
Okay, you don't want to try that?
No, I really want to keep on reading.
It seems like you're fighting it a little bit, like you do a lot of times when there's a
I
thing
would
that.
like to go on the ride, see the whole ride complete, and then come back and see again. Like watch the Evangelion, and let's watch it again. Let's.
Okay, so when you were talking about doing it, then just hypothetically, imagination would work if you weren't saying you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How strange is this? If it be indeed true, we must not, however, as yet absolutely deny the possibility of such a science. Let us rather consider the matter. You are quite right. Well then, this science of which we are speaking is a science of something, and is of a nature to be a science of something. Yes. Just as which is greater is of a nature to be greater than something else. Just as that which is greater is of a nature to be greater than something else. Yes. Which is less if the other is conceived to be greater, to be sure.
I would need to hear that stuff again.
This science of which we are speaking is a science of something, and is of a nature to be a science of something. Yes, just as which is greater, so like the act of being greater is of a nature to be greater than something else. So if something's bigger, then it is of the nature of being bigger. Yeah.
I was paying too much attention to this bullshit. If you help me again.
If I can stay parched long enough. Wait, I could be if I'm unparched?
Satiated?
Well, if parched is the dry, then I should be, if I'm unparched. Directional word.
Because you'll always...
I'm imparched?
You're always in a state of becoming parched?
Deparched? Conparched.
Unreparched?
The science of which we are speaking is a science of something, and is of a nature to be a science of something. Just as that which is greater is of a nature to be greater than something else.
Just as...
Which is greater is of a nature to be greater than something else.
So, okay, yeah. So things that are greater than something else are greater than something else.
To be sure. Which is less is the other. Sorry. Which is less if the other is conceived to be greater. So if one thing is greater, then the other has to be less.
Yeah.
And if we could find something which is at once greater than itself and greater than other great things, but not greater than those things in comparison of which the others are greater, then that thing would be the property of being greater and also less than itself.
Things have an order of greater and less than.
So this sounds like saying there's something then that is the property of being greater than itself and also less than itself.
So this thing is different because it can be greater than itself and less than itself. Right?
Yes. That is like...
because the thing that you are on the inside controls the thing on the outside. It's small, it's here, but it has control like a Ava.
Okay. That Socrates, he said, is the inevitable inference. Or if there be a double which is double of itself and of other doubles, these will be halves, for the double is relative to the half.
The double is like 1 and 2. Oh, he said like you could break a 1 into a bunch of pieces, or you can have double it. Maybe.
And that which is greater than itself will also be less, and that which is heavier will also be lighter, and that which is older will also be younger, and the same of the other things. That which is a nature relative to itself will retain also the nature of its object. I mean to say, for example, that hearing is, as we say, of sound or voice. Is that true? Yes. Then if hearing hears itself, it must hear a voice, for there is no other way of hearing. Certainly. And sight also, my excellent friend, if it sees itself, must see a color, for sight cannot see that which has no color. No. Do you remark, Critias, that in several of the examples which have been recited, the notion of a relation to itself is altogether inadmissible, and in the other cases hardly credible. Inadmissible, for example, in the case of magnitudes and numbers, and the like. Very true. But in the case of hearing and sight, or in the power of self-motion, and the power of heat to burn, this relation to self will be regarded as incredible by some, but perhaps not by others.
Mm-hmm.
And some great man, my friend, is wanted, who will satisfactorily determine for us whether there is nothing which has inherent properties of relation to itself, or something that are some things only and not others, and where in this class of self-related things, if there be such a class, that science which is called wisdom or temperance is included.
Mm-hmm. What a crazy way. People are always like, you take forever to get to the point, as if they understand how communication works the way they fucking act. And it's like Socrates is having to say a lot of words to get to a point. Not necessarily that, why don't you just speed it up, bro? Obviously. But it's interesting to see what he thinks he has to do to get through to Critias.
I altogether distrust my own power to determine these matters. I am not certain whether there is such a science of all.
That's what we're doing.
I'm not certain whether there is such a science of science at all. And even if there be, I should not acknowledge this to be wisdom or temperance, until I can also see whether such a science would or would not do us any good. For I have an impression that temperance is a benefit and a good. And therefore, O son of Calicrus, as you maintain that temperance or wisdom is a science of science, and also of the absence of science, I will request you to show, in the first place, as I was saying before, the possibility, and in the second place, the advantage of such a science. And then perhaps you may satisfy me that you are right in your view of temperance.
In the first part, Critus was like, there is no science of science, and I want to stop talking about this. And then Socrates talked about the science of science now, and Critias was like, yeah, that's what I think. What a jerk op.
Critias heard me say this, and saw that I was in a difficulty. And as one person, when another yawns in his presence, catches the infection of yawning from him, so did he seem to be driven into a difficulty by my difficulty. But as he had a reputation to maintain, he was ashamed to admit before the company that he could not answer my challenge, or determine the question at issue, and he made an unintelligible attempt to hide his perplexity. In order that the argument might proceed, I said to him, well then, Critias, if you like, let us assume that there is this science of science. Whether that the assumption is right or wrong may hereafter be investigated. Admitting the existence of it, will you tell me how such a science enables us to distinguish what we know or do not know?
We do that. So,
which, as we were saying, is self-knowledge or wisdom. So we were saying. Yes, Socrates, he said, and that I think is certainly true. For he who has this science or knowledge which knows itself will become like the knowledge which he has, in the same way that he who has swiftness will be swift, and he who has beauty will be beautiful, and he who has knowledge will know, in the same way that he who has knowledge which is self-knowing will know himself.
What?
Critias agrees. For he who has this science or knowledge which knows itself.
So Critias is talking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
For he who has the science or knowledge which knows itself will become like the knowledge which he has, in the same way that he who has swiftness will be swift, and he who has beauty will be beautiful, and he who has knowledge will know. In the same way, he who has knowledge that which is self-knowing will know himself.
Okay.
I do not doubt, I said, that a man will know himself when he possesses that which is self-knowledge. But what necessity is there that, having this, he should know what he knows and what he does not know?
What was that question again?
What necessity is there that, having this, he should know what he knows and what he does not know?
What necessity?
how does how does somebody who possesses this knows what he knows and knows what he doesn't know?
Oh, what's the scientific method of self? Of wisdom.
Because, Socrates, they are the same. Very likely, I said, but I remain as stupid as ever.
'Cause they're the same?
For still I fail to comprehend how this knowing what you know and do not know is the same as knowledge of self.
Knowing what you know and do not know is the same as knowledge of the self.
Yeah. What do you mean, he said.
'Cause the self knows and doesn't know.
This is what I mean, I replied. I will admit that there is a science of science. Can this do more than determine that of two things one and the other is not science or knowledge?
Could I hear that one more time?
Admitting there is a science of science. Can this do more than determine that of two things one is and the other is not science or knowledge? Can knowing what is and what is not do more than knowing what is and is not?
I still need help.
This is what I mean, I replied. I will admit that there is a science of science.
There's a science of science.
Can this do more than determine that of two things one is and the other is not science or knowledge?
Why can't I understand that? Try again, please.
Just repeat it.
Yeah.
I will admit that there is a science of science. Can this do more than determine that of two things one...
Can this do more? Can what do more? Tom do more?
Can this science of science, I guess,
Uh-huh.
do more than determine that of two things one is science and knowledge and the other is not?
Okay. So the science of science determines if things are science or if they're not?
Can determine that the science of science determines whether something is science or not. Yeah.
Okay. It's some bullshit ass. Okay.
So Critias responds, no, just that. That's all it can do.
So he's saying, can this thing do what?
Do more than determine whether something is a science or not.
It can't do any more than that.
Yeah. Can the science of science do more than determine if something is a science or not a science?
How did anybody fucking translate this from Greek? Like, this is some advanced speaking right now. The person who had to fucking translate this, like, how... They must have had some special sense of self, you know?
That's pretty intense.
It feels... I thought you had said two sentences, though, that Critias said. Or Socrates.
No, Socrates is the only one speaking. This is what I mean, I replied. I will admit that there is a science of science. Can this science do more than determine that of two things one is and the other is not science or knowledge?
One more time. This is Socrates.
Yes. He says, I will admit that there is a science of science.
He will admit, so he says, yes, there is a science of science.
Okay, because before he was like, I'm not sure that there is. but I will admit that there is.
Well, I think he just said the chances seem very. It's drawing a picture of the scope of how intense this thing is, because it's so unlikely that it doesn't fit the same pattern as something else. It's a new pattern. It's the 3 from the 1, 2.
Okay. Can the science of science, can this do more than determine that of two things, one is and the other is not? Science or knowledge?
So, can science do more than determine if something is science and knowledge?
Can the science of science
Can the science of science determine more than if something is a science, or
can it do more than determine? Can it do more than this comparison to let me know something is and isn't?
a science, or just is and isn't?
Is and isn't a science or knowledge.
Oh, so is and isn't is still like is knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. And Cramides says no, it doesn't do anything else. Get the fuck out. Okay. Socrates is really patient with this guy.
But is knowledge or want of knowledge of health? Sorry, is knowledge or want of knowledge of health the same as knowledge or want of knowledge of justice? Certainly not. The one is medicine and the other politics. Where...
Who's talking?
Socrates. Socrates says the one is medicine and the other is politics. Whereas
what is one's politics and one's?
So he asks, is the knowledge of health the same as the knowledge of justice?
Okay.
And Critias said no.
So, one's health and one's politics?
Yeah, one is medicine and the other politics.
Bullshit. But okay. Fuck that guy.
Socrates asks, he says, the one is medicine and the other is politics. Whereas...
Socrates said that?
Yes.
I thought you said Carmides answered that way.
He said certainly not. That the knowledge of health is not the same as the knowledge of justice.
Okay.
So Socrates asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
Critias said no. They are not the same. So Socrates is expanding on that. One is medicine.
Oh, he doesn't. He didn't say one is medicine and one is. Okay.
So Socrates is speaking now. One is medicine and the other is politics. Whereas that of which we are speaking is knowledge, pure and simple. Very true. And if a man knows only and has only knowledge of knowledge, and has no further knowledge of health and justice, the probability is that he will only know what he knows. The probability is that he will only know that he knows something.
But not specifically what that something is?
I think so. And has a certain knowledge, whether concerning himself or other men. True. Then how will this knowledge or science teach him to know what he knows? Say that he knows health, not wisdom or temperance, but the art of medicine has taught it to him. And he has learned harmony from the art of music, and building from the art of building, neither from wisdom or temperance, and of other things. That is evident. How will wisdom, regarded only as knowledge of knowledge or science of science, ever teach him that he knows health or that he knows building? It is impossible.
So, contradiction.
Yeah. Then he who is ignorant of these things will only know that he knows, but not what he knows. True. Then wisdom or being wise appears to be not the knowledge of things which we do or do not know, but only the knowledge that we know or do not know. That is the inference. That wisdom appears to be not the knowledge of things we do and do not know, but only the knowledge that we know or don't know. That is the inference. Then he who has this knowledge will not be able to examine whether a pretender knows or does not know that which he says that he knows. He will only know that he has a knowledge of some kind, but wisdom will not show him of what the knowledge is, plainly not. Neither will he be able to distinguish the pretender in medicine from the true physician, nor because any other true or false professor of knowledge. Let us consider the matter in this way. If the wise man or any other man wants to distinguish the true physician from the false, how will he proceed? Will he not talk to him about medicine? And that, as we were saying, is the only thing which the physician understands. True. And on the other hand, the physician knows nothing of science, for this has been assumed to be the province of wisdom. True. And further, since medicine is science, we must infer that he does not know anything of medicine. Exactly.
Exactly.
Then the wise man may indeed know that the physician has some kind of science or knowledge, but when he wants to discover the nature of what he will ask, what is the subject matter? For several sciences are distinguished not by the mere fact that they are sciences, but by the nature of their subjects. Is that not true? Quite true. And medicine is distinguished from other sciences as having the subject matter of health and disease. Yes. And he who would inquire into the nature of medicine must pursue the inquiry into health and disease, and not into what is extraneous. True. And he who judges rightly will judge the physician as a physician in what relates to these. He will consider whether that what he says is true, and whether what he does is right in relation to health and disease. He will. But can anyone attain the knowledge of either unless he has the knowledge of medicine? He cannot. So you can't tell if something is true if you don't know about that thing.
Yeah. So the science of science is also the science of knowing the stuff to know the science, not just the science of...
If you don't know anything about health, you can't tell if the physician is doing healthy things to you. Mm-hmm. You gotta know. Okay. No one at all, it would seem, except the physician, can have this knowledge, and therefore not the wise man. he would have to be a physician as well as a wise man. Very true. Then assuredly, wisdom or temperance, if only a science of science, and of the absence of science and knowledge, will not be able to distinguish the physician who knows from one who does not know, but pretends or thinks that he knows, or any other profession of anything at all. Like any other artist, he will only know this fellow in art or wisdom, and no one else. That is evident, he said. But then what profit, Critias, I said, is there any longer in wisdom or temperance which is yet remains, if this is wisdom? If indeed, as we were supposing at first, the wise man had been able to distinguish what he knew and did not know, and what he knew that one, and that he knew the one and did that he knew one and did not know the other, and to recognize a similar faculty of discernment in others, there would certainly have been a great advantage in being wise, for then we should never have made a mistake, but have passed through life the unerring guides of ourselves and of those who are under us, and we should not have attempted to do what we did not know, but because we should have found out those who knew, and have handed the business over to them and trusted in them. Nor should we have allowed those who were under us to do anything which they were not likely to do well, and then would be likely to do well just that of which they had knowledge. And the house or state which has ordered or administered under the guidance of wisdom, and everything else of which is wisdom, was the Lord, would have been well ordered, for truth guiding and error having been eliminated in all things, in all their doings, men would have done well and would have been happy. Was not this, Critias, what we spoke of as the great advantage of wisdom? To know that what is known and what is unknown to us? Very true, he said. And now you perceive, I said, that there is no such science to be found anywhere. I perceive, he said. May we assume then, I said, that wisdom viewed in this new light merely as knowledge of knowledge and ignorance has this advantage, that he who possesses such knowledge will more easily learn anything which he learns, and that everything will be clearer to him, because in addition to the knowledge of individuals, he sees the science, and this also will better enable him to test the knowledge of which others have of what he knows himself. Whereas the inquirer who is without this knowledge may be supposed to have a feebler and weaker insight. Are not these, my friend, the real advantages which are to be gained from wisdom? And are not we looking and seeking after something more than is to be found in her? That is very likely, he said. That is very likely, I said. He just repeated himself. That is very likely, I said. And very likely, too, that we have been inquiring to no purpose, as I am led to infer, because I observe that if this is wisdom, some strange circumstance would follow. Let us, if you please, assume the possibility, this science of sciences, and further admit and allow, as was originally suggested, that wisdom is the knowledge of what we know and do not know. Assuming this, still, upon further consideration, I am doubtful, Critias, whether wisdom such as this would do us much good. For we were wrong, I think, in supposing, as we were saying just now, that such wisdom ordering the government of house or state would be a great benefit. How so? He said. Why, I said, we were far too ready to admit the great benefits which mankind would obtain from their severally doing the things which they knew and committing the things of which they are ignorant to those who were better acquainted with them. Were we not right in making this administration? So you should stick with what you know, and if you don't know something, you refer to someone else who does know.
If they do know. This is Socrates talking, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We agreed on this. He goes, but I think we made a mistake in doing that. Josie, stop. Were we not right in making this admission? I think not. How very strange, Socrates. By the dog of Egypt, I said.
Jupiter's cock.
There I agree with you. And I was thinking as much just now when I said that very strange consequences would follow, and that I was afraid we were on the wrong track. For however ready we may be to admit that this is wisdom, I certainly cannot make out what good this sort of thing does to us. What do you mean? He said. I wish that you could make me understand what you mean.
Carmides said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I dare say that what I am saying is nonsense, I replied. And yet, if a man has any feeling of what is due to himself, he cannot let the thought which comes into his mind pass away unheeded and unexamined. I like that, he said. Like Garth Brooks.
Carmides said that?
Said, I like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, he pulled a Garth. I like that.
Gross.
I like that.
Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks reminds me of that one child Dream. The one who there's like a whole bunch of chicks who like, he lives in my head and
yeah,
shit like that. I wonder if that was a plant.
Why does he remind you of that? I don't think they look the same.
No, they don't look the same, but that weird like pretend softness, I think.
Well, I haven't paid. I really don't know all that much about Dream.
I don't.
You showed me his face the other
day.
Yeah,
you know how like his face looks soft, even like a soft boy, like he's the I don't know I don't know how to express it. There's a softness to a chubby person.
Was he chubby?
No. You know how there's a softness to a chubby person?
Yes.
Oh, I think at one point he was a big old fatty fat Dream.
Okay.
Craig, whatever his fucking name is. And he still has like that like squishy quality. It's like effeminate, almost like a boob.
Well, Garth Brooks and
yeah, you
Dream
remember when
have squishy boob-like qualities to them.
Yeah, but ethereally, it's not necessarily like even physical. But it's a little bit physical.
Ethereally? I don't know what that means.
Without realness, I don't know. Like ectoplasm. Or like a different dimension, or like wind.
No, I'm afraid I don't follow, baby.
Cause it's a state of what they are, not what they look like.
So, it's
most.
You're saying it's part of their shape.
Yeah,
right?
their emotional shape, their mental shape.
They have some sort of softness to them that you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hungry. Should we have a bowl of cereal or something, or
Okay, baby.
should we just cut this shit out for
I
now?
wouldn't mind maybe cutting it a little short since I gotta be up.
Okay.
Because we'll probably be up for a couple more hours and then.
A couple more hours. Oh.
You think you're gonna? I mean.
I don't wanna fucking try.
You think we'll be in bed quickly before? When we stop?
What? Can you repeat the question?
When we stop,
Mm-hmm.
do you think we will go to bed quickly?
No.
So that is why I said we'll probably be up for a few more hours.
Yeah, okay. Damn.
Yeah, it looks like that guy who you mimicked earlier today when I lifted up my shirt. The retard kid who's like,
Oh yeah, it does. That's funny. Look deeper. I wonder if I can make this really little and stretch it really big. Ooh, it's a horse race. It's almost done.
can't tell what that is.
That's okay. It's not up to you.
Okay.
Do you know what any of this stuff is, really?
So some horses, and I see a fag, and then I see a fag with a mane.
Some horse butt.
I don't know what that purple thing is.
Oh, it's another one. It's Jim Sterling.
Jim's.
Shaniqua Sterling. Fucking.
What did the original picture look like?
Like that, basically.
The fuck? Okay, if you don't got it readily.
Yeah, confirm these nuts, motherfucker. Jim Sterling sexy, couldn't find a goddamn thing. Well, it looked like that, but unstretchified, basically. How did all this happen? I need a blushy face, and then I'll be done.
That thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell. It looked like the Shin-chan character with a pig face or something. I couldn't.
Oh, the Doraemon or whatever? The
Yeah.
Buri maybe?
Yeah.
Blushing cheeks. Oh. Beautiful. I don't know which one I should use. Probably one of these. Copy. And then I'll be done. I'm gonna put a blushing cheek right on those cheeks. Damn, it looks like shit.
What about the cheeks you gave to what's his face the other day?
I did the same shit, like here. I didn't save it though.
Oh.
Yeah, basically did that. Maybe I can, like, face swap these colors. Color replacement and get a little bit of this. And I'll put it over here. No, that doesn't look good at all. Well, time to give up forever. Ooh, I'm so embarrassed.
Are you looking at my horse butt?
It's too fucking big and prominent. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to separate them. How do I do this? Okay.
That could be our avatar from now on.
This one. Whee. Beautiful. And now I got two separate ones. Hee hee hee. Maybe his cheeks should be. Stop it. Cheeks should be like this. Well, I did it. I finished one in a whole live stream.
Damn, wife.
You think it's savable?
I think so.
I don't need no. Danny Shanks doesn't need to be here. This is
too debaucherous.
Yeah. Vaughn the Stampede. Oh, I should call him Vosh the Stampede. Because that's his name, isn't it? I like Vaughn the Stampede better. Jake from Tube Farm, fuck you. Your name is whatever I fucking say it is. Oh, I should have put him in here.
What are you doing?
I should have like Naruto, gotta go fast. Okay. Save, done, did, done, fucking coming back, never. It'll just be our thumbnail or something next time. Okay, you want to do all this stuff?
Alright, love you, baby.
Love you, husband.